Welcome to the Rocky and Meisty Show, rolling along with our playoff preview. We are now going to preview perhaps the most exciting matchup of the weekend, Steelers-Chiefs. Obviously, I say that a bit sarcastically because there are a lot of people that aren't that ecstatic about this game, but it is playoff football. It's Ben Roethlisberger's potential final game. Maybe not. Maybe the ride continues. We'll see what happens. These teams just played each other a few weeks ago, so let's get right into it. Remember to subscribe on Spotify, Apple, and follow us on Twitter and Instagram. It's Steelers-Chiefs. Now, obviously, the Steelers somehow, with that crazy playoff scenario, needed the Colts to lose to the Jaguars. And if you thought that was the most improbable thing of the day, the tie between the Chargers and Raiders not happening might have been even more improbable, considering it was ticks away from actually happening. But the Raiders pulled it off, saving both their season, and well, not really, but propelling them into the playoffs and saving the Steelers season in the process. Question is, obviously, we all want to know, man, what do you think, Yehuda? Do the Steelers have any sort of a chance? And if they do have a chance, how would they do that? How would you plan to, they're obviously 12.5-point underdogs as of now. It's a little earlier in the week, but how would you try to scheme up a plan against Patrick Mahomes and this Chiefs offense?
Patrick Mahomes, what I would do is play two deep safety, blitz TJ Watt and maybe two or three other guys at most. Never blitz him. Always keep two or three guys back, and then just pray that when you're on offense, that Daniel Sorensen is covering every single receiver that you're trying to pass to, because we saw what happened when the Steelers played the Chiefs last time. They obliterated them. The Chiefs beat them like 38-10 or something. Like, it wasn't close. It wasn't pretty. I think even the broadcast switched away to a different game, 36-10. The broadcast switched away to a different game at the time because it was such a laugher at the end of the game. Chiefs brought in all their backups. Chad Henne played like a quarter and a half. Like it wasn't pretty. It was not good. I would say maybe the Chiefs may be a little injured coming into this one. You saw Kelsey limp off a little bit. Tyreek Hill hurt his heel in warmups. Byron Pringle, their second or third string guy, got a little banged up. Darrell Williams, their starting running back, now that Clyde, he hurt his toe. Now that Clyde Edwards-Helaire is still dealing with the shoulder injury, so they could be a little injured on offense. But I think it doesn't really matter when you have number 15 playing quarterback for the Chiefs, and they got Kelsey, who should be pretty much fine, good to go against this Steelers defense that is not what he used to be. TJ Watt gets all the headlines. He got 22.5 sacks. Like, he's been having an insane year, an outstanding year, but their run defense has been absolutely atrocious. And I think even Derek Gore can run on this team. That's how bad they've been. And they were able to rush on them last time. And especially if they get CEH back, he should be able to really help their run game. And then if you have the run game going for the Chiefs, like, there's no real stopping them. Because they can use that to set up the pass game, and then they don't really have anyone who can hang with Hill unless he is a little injured. But if they got to double him at all times, and then the Chiefs defense, as awful as it started, it's gotten a little better at the end of the season. And although they did kind of, like Feisty said before, they got a little exposed against the Bengals, giving up 270 yards to Jamar Chase. I don't think the Steelers really have anyone that explosive on offense. Deontay Johnson, Chase Claypool are good, but they don't have Joe Burrow. They have Ben Roethlisberger, aging old Roethlisberger, and I think I saw someone mention he's going to have Dan Marino treatment most likely. Dan Marino, is a legendary quarterback, going to be is a Hall of Famer, and was awesome throughout his career. And then his last season, or one of his last years, he plays in a playoff game in an AFC wildcard and loses like 62-7. So I don't think it's gonna be that bad, that big of a blowout, but it's gonna be something like that, unless Steelers continue their crazy lucky ride. It looks like it's gonna be a laugher on Sunday night.
I want to jump right in here, Yehuda, because you mentioned the Chiefs running game, and you stole it from me. You stole my fire. Because I was going to say it's interesting that the Chiefs' best path for victory in this game might be defense and running game, which is ironic, right? I mean, the Chiefs' passing game has been relatively pedestrian throughout the year, right? Patrick Mahomes, 13th ranked quarterback according to PFF, a lot of turnover-worthy plays. 4 interceptions were dropped in last week's games against Denver. He's had a lot of. It's interesting 4, but 2 of them were debatable whether you could put on him. 2 of them were for sure his fault. It's interesting. The first half of the season, Chiefs were struggling. A big part of that was Patrick Mahomes was getting a lot of bad turnover luck, right? Like everything that went in the secondary's direction was getting caught, was getting intercepted. The second half of the season, they went on this run, and a big part of that was he was getting all this good turnover luck. All of a sudden, he's slinging the ball right to DBs, but they're dropping the ball all of a sudden, just like it happened in last year's past. Obviously, his turnover-worthy play rate is worse this year. He's put the ball in harm's way much more often this year than he has in past years, but he's gotten a lot more luck in past years than he did this year. This year down the stretch, he's gotten a lot more luck, and as a result, the Chiefs have been able to, win a lot of these close games. But yeah, I think with Patrick Mahomes struggling, the Steelers' pass defense is all right. Their run defense is awful. It's been one of the worst in the league. We saw what the Ravens did, 250 yards rushing last week. And I think that's interestingly enough, right? The Steelers have no passing game. It's just been awful. I mentioned Ben Roethlisberger on Monday Night Football against the Browns. His average depth of target was 2.7 yards. That's unheard. I've never heard of anything like that. Throwing the ball 46 times, 127 yards, 120 yards, I believe. It's unheard of. But at the same time, Tyreek Hill, what's going on here? He has 111 receptions, and he's averaged nearly 4 yards less per reception than he has in past years. So obviously, it's a lot of yards for Tyreek Hill, over 1,300 yards, but he normally is in the 70 to 80 reception range. Now we're talking over 110 receptions, albeit 17 games, but over 110 receptions. It's short dink and dunk stuff, And I think that if the Chiefs shouldn't do anything too complicated in this game. They're going to have to against the Bills or against those better teams. Somehow they're going to have to pull out some big plays which haven't been there for the most part this season. But in this game, running game and defense might just be the recipe, Meisty. I don't know. Interestingly enough.
It sounds like it's clear cut, and this is going to be the Chiefs' way. But at the end of the day, where the Steelers have hope is that they can get to the quarterback rushing only, 4 guys. And that will allow them to drop back into coverage with guys like Minka Fitzpatrick back there. I mean, he's going to, those Steelers are going to need to get a very lucky play. They're going to need, they're going to need turnovers. They're going to need picks, sacks, fumbles. So TJ Watt also is going to obviously play a huge role. But that if they can put pressure on him while with rushing 4 guys, as shown throughout the season, that frustrates Mahomes very much because pressure's coming in and there's no one open because there's so many guys back there. And so I think that it's not going to be a close game, but the Steelers will keep it close. It's going to be low scoring, not a good game. So I don't think the Steelers will move the ball much. So I don't know how, maybe they'll score a touchdown or 2, but not even maybe a touchdown and a field goal, 21-10, Chiefs, or 28-10, and that's in the fourth, last minute, the Chiefs scored another one. It's just going to be I think it's going to be a stupid game, a boring game to watch, and I don't know why it was this Sunday night game.
Yeah. I mean, the Steelers are rough to watch. These, I think Najee Harris got a little dinged up, so maybe that's why they weren't running him as much. And they were using a lot more Benny Snell the past week. But maybe the Steelers were trying to do the Kobe treatment for Roethlisberger and just let him keep throwing. But I don't know why they're throwing 40, 50 times a game, and they're throwing for 3 to 5 yards per attempt. It's just awful and just rough to watch. And
he can't throw the ball down the field. He can't do it. He physically can't do it.
Can't throw.
They are giving him the Kobe treatment. They're just because it's been working again. I mean, they're in the playoffs because of it, and you know what? And it's not going to get them far. But if this is his last game, let him throw for 60 times. Literally, that's it. He's never going to have to. He could cut his arm off after.
That's true.
Tomlin should be coach of the year. Coach of the year, Tomlin. It's unbelievable what he's been able to do with such a limited
maybe
talent.
Belichick. I mean, what Belichick's been able to do.
And there's a lot of great coaches out there, but with Tomlin 9-7-1 with that team, I mean, we're talking about, like we mentioned, a guy that can't throw the ball over 10 yards down the field anymore. I mean, he's just too old. His arm is out. He's had maybe 3 or 4 big throws down the field this entire season. It's unbelievable. The Steelers' offense is throw the ball short to Deontay Johnson and Chase Claypool and hope they can break a few tackles. That's the Steelers' offense. It's been the entire season, and it's sort of worked sometimes. It's weird. I don't
know how people haven't figured it out by now and how they're able to make it into the playoffs. People specifically being the Baltimore Ravens couldn't stop it twice, but I think Steve Spagnuolo has seen it a little bit, he's seen a few things, so he knows how to stop that, and he's going to bring guys up on the line a bunch with Tyrann Mathieu, Willie Gay, and I think Bolton is their rookie linebacker, has been playing pretty well, and they'll just harass Roethlisberger and get up in his face and cut away those short passing lanes.
Yeah, Meisty, you mentioned it could be a boring game. I sort of agree because, like, what I was saying before, that it could be running game defense. And I sort of think, right, the Steelers are not a very exciting team to watch. The Chiefs, this year, surprisingly enough, have not been that exciting of a team to watch. I wonder if somehow, like, if everyone's healthy and you get Pringle involved, you get Hardman involved, and if and you have, the number one threat to sort of, take attention away from those guys. You have Tyreek Hill and you have Kelsey, and, like, you have the weapons there. I wonder if Mahomes sort of goes back on track a few big time throws sprinkled in there. That's the one thing I'm wondering. Even this game against the Steelers, I know he's probably going to have to do that. This methodical offense that they've been having throughout the entire season, I don't know if it's going to work in the, later on in the playoffs. We'll see. Maybe it is, but I think they're going to have to get some big time throws. And maybe even this game we see some sparks of it. We see, like, Patrick Mahomes throwing the ball down the field, making some big time throws, and people are like, well, yeah, here the Chiefs are back. Patrick Mahomes' big time throws are back. Even if he has a couple bad throws every game, puts the ball in harm's way. If he has those big time throws, the Chiefs are a dangerous team. Problem is he hasn't had that this year. But yeah, it should be enough to beat the Steelers. 12.5 is a big line, especially, it's Big Ben's last game. Obviously, emotional, well, not last game. I shouldn't say that, but potential last game. A lot of emotional aspects to this game, as there has been the last few weeks. And the Steelers are a well coached team, as we just discussed. They always play well. For some reason, they stick to their opponents. They don't get blown out too often, although they did a few weeks ago against the Chiefs. But not too often, especially in the playoffs. I don't know, man. I think it's going to be a little closer than we think, but it might be a boring game. I agree with you, Meisty, but maybe a little closer than we think. I'm obviously going to have to go with the Chiefs, though. I'm not going to pick against them, but I'm going to go with the Chiefs. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think it's a quick tune-up game for the Chiefs, and obviously you always want to get the bye, and anything can happen any given Sunday, but, like, this is the closest thing they could have gotten to a bye. I think, if they would have had to play if they would have to play the Colts and have to play a punishing run game and a solid defense, that would have kept them on their toes a little bit. And if they would have had to play maybe the Ravens, who had beaten them, I don't know, if it's the same Ravens team at all, but they have in the back of their mind, like, they had already lost to them earlier this season. Or even if the Patriots were the 7th seed, and you have to play against Bill Belichick, but to play against a team like the Steelers team with a quarterback who is so clearly, on the outs and ready to retire, it's not that bad as a, if you have to play this week for the Chiefs for their final playoff game. So I think they should win handily on Sunday night.
Meisty, who you got?
I'm gonna take the Chiefs. Like I said, 28-10.
28-10. Okay, so what was the first score? 38-10. So you're just going 10 points.
30,
All right.
Yeah, 36-10. Yeah, that's the playoff effect right there. Cut off 8 points.
36.
One less touchdown. Yeah.
That's it. That's what you're giving them. So you both want them to cover pretty much. Okay, we won't even discuss the line. But anyway, that's we got. So we didn't disagree on anything. I hope that when we get to the NFC games, we will disagree on. Because I don't. I think you guys are. You listen. You guys are very smart people, very intellectual. I agree with a lot of your opinions, but I love when we disagree. I think it's just so much more entertaining.
It's a lot more fun. It is a lot more fun when we fight.
We argued on reasons. We argued on reasons why for certain things. So
fair enough. That's true. We did, but not the result.
Honestly,
I guess
the X factor in this game is Derek Gore. Is another running back.
It comes down to the D line and the Steelers defense.
Yeah,
I guess Deontay Johnson and Chase Claypool, right? That's the whole Steelers offense. They're going to win this game. They're going to have to get those guys involved somehow. Get the guys ball on the screens, little 5-yard slants. That's all they could do. So they're going to have to do it. Anyway, okay, fine. So that's the game that not many people are looking forward to. I am, and we are, because it's football. We love playoff football. Anything can happen. And thank you for joining us on this continuation of playoff football, playoff previews. We're, of course, going to continue to the NFC next time. We'll get all 3 matchups. Going to be great. Please join us for that. Remember to subscribe and follow us on Twitter and Instagram, and have a great day.